Ooh, welcome to the Spooky Virgins and the Village, a Sex and the City watch-along podcast with two registered versions. This episode is special because we're recording it at 9 o'clock at night. That's why it's spooky.
You know, peek behind the screen, everyone, real quick. I'm often in a funk. And I'll tell Hayden about it. And Hayden will say in response, he'll be like, you know what, I can bring the energy for both of us. And you come in with stuff like that really makes me happy and really makes me laugh. And it makes me appreciate you a lot as a comedy partner and friend.
Why, thank you. But who the heck are you?
My name is Pittner. Unfortunately, Alex isn't on this podcast. It's Pittner, and I'm here for the sex.
And my name is Ray Allen. That's right. It's my middle names today.
Whoa!
And I'm here for the city. Today we're just... Whoa. We're in the fun types today.
It's spooky.
Today we are discussing Season 1, Episode 8, Three's a Crowd. Now, Alex, before I ask you what happens in this episode, I want to just bring something to your attention. You know, this is the 8th episode, which means we've been doing this for 4 consecutive weeks, which means this is the 2-month anniversary of the podcast.
Look at us go.
Wild.
Right?
Wild.
Look at how consistent we are.
Yeah, every week, baby.
Every week.
But Alex, tell me what happens in this episode.
Alrighty, so this episode is written by Jenny Bix.
Oh.
And are you ready for this one?
Yeah.
It was directed by Nicole Holofcener.
Woo!
Holofcener.
Uh-huh.
Holofcener. Now, Hayden, you said downstairs
Yes.
that the director really made the episode that we just watched. And I'll give the summary in a second. Before we dive in, I just want to say, you know what else Nicole directed?
Episode 3.
Episode 3.
I know, because peek behind the screen, I looked it up while I was editing the podcast, and so I knew it was coming, and I was really excited.
Yes.
Also, is this our first female writer?
I believe it is, because I believe it's just been Patrick King and Darren Star, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out Jenny Bix.
Woo! Go Jenny.
All right, let's talk about this episode that I personally loved.
Yes.
So much. Again, Nicole, you can be on our podcast anytime.
Please, Nicole, come on. That would be wonderful.
All right, so here's the summary. This episode begins, and Charlotte has a new boyfriend named Jack. And Jack wants to have a threesome.
Whoa!
This leads to all of the girls having a conversation about threesomes. And they all and they all talk about how they'd be down to have threesomes with each other.
That's the sound of them talking.
Oh, wow. Except none of them mention that they'd be down to have a threesome with Miranda.
Wah, wah.
Charlotte ends up having a dream about threesomes, which makes her into the idea, so she tries to have a threesome with Jack at a masquerade. However, as Jack, Charlotte, and the girl who joins them in the menage a trois, as it were, start to go at it, Charlotte decides to leave.
That's the footsteps walking away.
Carrie finds out that Mr. Big used to be married.
Oh!
And she meets Mr. Big's ex.
Oh!
And they become friends.
What?
Carrie gets upset with Mr. Big, but then everything is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miranda is feeling like left out, and she feels, quote unquote, like she is picked last in dodgeball. She feels like no one is attracted to her or wants to be her friend, and she ends up talking to her therapist about how she has dreams where she's in a sandbox with all the gals, but no one wants to play with her. Or she gets in a cab with all the gals, and they make her sit up front.
That's the sound of the sand in the sandbox.
Her plot ends with her meeting up with a couple from a personal ad. The people from the personal ad express that they think she is attractive, so Miranda leaves feeling validated. Samantha's having sex with some married guy, and it doesn't matter.
I like how every episode has the one plot that just doesn't matter.
And it's twice in a row it's been Samantha.
Well, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So let's talk about the sex count for this episode. This
Boom.
is maybe I'm wrong because of a few episodes that we missed that I missed sex counts on, but this is the highest sex count we have ever had in an episode with a whopping 5. That is
Whoa.
one full hand of sex count, people. And 3 of them happened in like the first 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of sex.
It is a lot of sex.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, our city count is still at 0. We have yet to see a shot of the entire city with everybody saying, "Sex and the City!"
So this episode was incredible, right?
Oh, it was wonderful. I still don't think it beats 3.
Okay.
I still think 3 is my top dog right now. But I still think it was very good, better than the last 3 episodes we've watched.
I agree. Matter of fact, I'm going to say for your friend Alex, it's close, but I think this episode barely beats out episode 3.
Oh my gosh.
I think that we got, and I think the biggest thing, and you brought it to my attention downstairs, because I always think in like writing, I never, like I always forget about how much a director does.
Yeah.
And so downstairs I was like, who is writing Miranda? Like I was like, yes. And then you were like, you brought up that it's the direction.
Nicole, she directs Miranda perfectly.
I hope that I'm gonna make a wish right now. And we're gonna see if it comes true. I wish that every single episode of Sex and the City after this one is directed by Nicole Holofinser.
Oh my gosh. Alex, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right now.
No.
And each and every single thing is like, it's like Back to the Future style. The names are fading out and Nicole is fading in.
Oh my gosh.
Did you build a time machine?
No.
Okay.
That's how improv is done.
That's how improv, yeah.
Someone brings a concept and you go, mm-mm.
Yes, the most important rule of improv, the top 5 rules of improv are always deny.
That's all 5.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I loved Miranda in this episode.
Oh, she was
so
wonderful.
Much.
I wrote down
wow.
I had nothing bad to say about the Miranda subplot because, like, first of all, good on them for showing people getting therapy. I'm always down for a good. Obviously, like sometimes people make fun. Sometimes it's made fun of, and I think like the second therapy scene was kind of. I don't think it was making fun of therapy as an institution.
No, I don't think so at all.
I've seen projects make fun of therapy as an institution, and I hate that because therapy is a very good thing that a lot of people should do. I think even if you don't think you need it, everybody can benefit from therapy.
Yeah. I'm in therapy.
Yeah.
Actually, got a new therapist like 2 days ago.
Oh, congratulations! You want to have him on the podcast?
No.
All right. And also, the Miranda in the little moment that she had. First of all, like the way it was edited was done very well. But when she kind of had that moment in the 4-person scene where they were talking about having threesomes with each other, and she kind of had that moment, she'd be like, "Ooh," take a while she did that. She had like a little facial expression and nobody noticed, and then she had to say something, and it was just done really well. And I think, Cynthia Nixon, wonderful actress.
Favorite part of the show, Easy Street. Miranda is such a lovable, fun, and like relatable character. To me, I just think.
And I thought at the beginning of the show, I thought Charlotte was going to be my favorite character.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my gosh, Alex, turn off your watch!
It's the consequences of After Dark.
That was Alex's bedtime monitor. I thought Charlotte was going to be my favorite character, and it has quickly evolved into Miranda is hands down my favorite.
Yeah, Miranda is what, like, keeps me watching the show, like, aside from the fact that we have a podcast about it. Just such a great character. So lovable, so fun.
I did want to say, before we get really too deep into the episode, I had a lot of problems with how this episode opens.
Okay.
Because the opening of this episode says, in the magic city of Manhattan. Manhattan isn't inherently magical. There's not like dragons or anything in Manhattan, and there's not wizards in Manhattan. And I just think that was really irresponsible on who is the writer of this episode?
Jenny Bix.
Jenny Bix. I think that was just the worst line, and it just made me, I didn't like this episode anymore.
I thought that you were going to be upset that it begins a lot like episode 1.
Yeah.
The Once Upon a Time. But no,
it's just that Manhattan, logistically in the real world, doesn't have any real magic. And I think that is setting up very bad expectations for me as an audience member. Because I was expecting a wizard to pop up in this episode, and they didn't.
Yeah, y'all, Hayden knows magic.
Yeah.
All right, let me tell you right now. I've never
I know the card game, and I know, like, actual magic.
Yeah.
Like, Alex has seen me summon, like, an elemental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was impressive. I mean, by the way, like, has Bryce said anything about me? Because, like, you summoned him, and I thought we really hit it off, but, like, they haven't, like...
Look, I kind of dispersed him.
So, does that mean, like, he's, like...
Yeah, Bryce the Elemental is not going to be back around for a while.
For a while, but, like...
Probably not, because, like, he was like, you pulled me away from my wife and kid. So...
Yeah, is it, like, a happily...
Yes.
Married family situation.
Yeah.
I can't like pull a Samantha.
You can't pull a Samantha because they have good sex.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, but Bryce the Elemental is off the table.
Mm-hmm.
But you know who's on the table?
Who's on the table?
Jack.
Okay.
Jack is Charlotte's boyfriend for this episode.
Yes.
He's the one that talks about a threesome. That's literally every line. He has no lines that are not sex related. Did you notice that?
Oh damn!
He literally says nothing that endears us to him and makes us understand why Charlotte likes him. Every single line he says is related to him wanting a threesome.
Yeah. On the same note of that, I could be wrong, but so this episode opens with Carrie narrating, and Carrie's all like, "This guy Jack was perfect for Charlotte." Didn't Carrie say last episode that blowjob guy was perfect for Charlotte?
Yeah. I think that's supposed to kind of make us assume that, like, Charlotte thinks everybody is perfect for her because she's a hopeless romantic.
Oh, you know what?
That's what I interpret that.
That is...
But then, she did, either that or just Carrie doesn't know her friends. Because she's like, she's perfect for Charlotte. And then he's like, sex, 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 horny, 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 horny. And that's all he said.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. He said no lines that wasn't just horny, horny, horny.
Yeah.
I didn't like Jack.
Yeah, I didn't really
I was like, pull off the gas, buddy.
Yeah, I feel like I just don't know anything about Jack. I think that you brought that up well, that, like, all he talks about is... Yeah, I didn't
He's a
think
walking
about that,
penis.
Yeah, he's a penis.
Yeah. Not a dick. He's not a dick. Because, like, he didn't, like... He did try to, like, coerce her into doing it. But he didn't go as far as blowjob guy and put his hand on her head and try to force her down. He just was really conniving with it and was just kept talking about it. And it's like, shut up, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, give me, like, one personality trait that's not horny.
Did you like the group scene this episode?
I loved the group scene this episode.
Me too.
It had really good energy. I thought it had a really nice form of pacing. I thought that all of them it felt like the first episode group scene where they were really bouncing off of each other.
Yeah, I wrote down specifically that in the group scene, whoever was doing, like, wardrobe and shit, on point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, their hair all looked so good.
Mm-hmm.
Miranda with the green jacket, white shirt, fucking goes great with their hair.
Mm-hmm.
Wardrobe was looking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I loved that set too. It just, like, all the colors in that scene to me, just, like, it was just so nice on the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I loved all those colors. It was, like, bright colors, but it wasn't abrasive.
You also had my favorite line from the episode, I believe, which was, if your friends don't go down on you, who will?
Oh.
Which Alex and I know that. High five.
Woo! I hate to throw this at you. That comes later.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I thought you were gonna...
Oh my god, I have to resign as the Virgin, and I have to let Richard Nixon take over.
Oh
my god.
I hate it. It's okay, man. Please don't bring Nixon back. Oh no. No, Nixon,
no! Hey, it's me, John F. Kennedy.
Oh. Hey, man.
I'm gonna go.
Okay, it's cool that you pounded on the door for that. I guess I'll see you later, Mr. Kennedy.
Bye. Oh my gosh, guys, that is the third president we've had on this show. It is wild that we keep getting presidents, but we don't get any of the cast of Sex and the City.
So, speaking of great lines, though, in that group scene,
Yeah?
there was a line where Samantha goes, "Threesomes are like the blowjobs of the 90s. Those the blowjobs of the 80s. Anal sex." I was like, of course.
But, like...
It's something like that. I might have butchered that.
But they're still in the 90s, right? At this point in the show?
They should be in 1998.
So, if threesomes are the blowjobs of the 90s, what were the blowjobs, like, what decade were the blowjobs for?
Hayden?
Huh.
I think I did invent a time machine.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Did you go back and rewrite all of Sex and the City and just do it under different aliases?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, guys, this is a shocking development in the narrative, the really intense narrative of Virgins in the Village that we have. This is a narrative podcast now.
Yeah, the narrative, I mean, I don't want to pat ourselves on the back too hard, but
oh my gosh,
a narrative. We have an extended universe.
That explains why there's so many presidents coming into my closet.
Oh my, it explains why you shit on my kitchen and I rubbed it all over my penis, actually.
It does.
Yeah.
Golden showers was a thing that was brought up in this episode. Yeah. I am the master of segues tonight.
Amen, baby.
And the person, it was during their interstitial little, like, people on the street, and I really liked how they framed it, because it was the people behind the ads in the newspaper for threesomes.
Yeah.
And they were just basically reading out their ads as just people, and there's a woman that's like, we can go to the theater, do blowjobs, go to the theater, or even golden showers. And the editor decided to, like, stay on that take for, like, a couple extra seconds. So you see that the actress, as soon as she said that, she kind of went, like... And, like, you could see that disappointment in her eyes that she was talking about golden showers.
Oh, that's so sad. I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Quick little thing about this episode. They have taken to calling Samantha Sam consistently.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I hope that sticks.
Yeah, it might.
Also,
yeah.
Another thing.
Yeah.
There was a part where Charlotte was talking to the girls and she was like, "Jack thinks I'm sexy." And then all of them were like, "Oh, he's buttering you up." I was like, why can't her boyfriend think she's sexy, y'all?
To be fair, they were right. It's exactly what he was doing. He was trying to make her feel sexy so that she would do into threesome.
Yeah.
But that it does kind of be like I felt like one of them would be like, "You are sexy," but that's not the reason he's saying that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's true.
Third weird transition in a row.
Get him.
We had shoe. We had the wipe with the noise last episode. This episode, we had a glowing white box that grew out from the middle of the screen and transitioned between things. Do you remember that?
I feel like whenever these crazy transitions happen, I'm writing a note, so you see them, but I don't.
I'm like gaslighting you. I keep making up transitions.
No, I believe you. That's so weird.
It's so weird. It's like why? It's like, why?
Yeah.
It's weird, because it's like, don't get me wrong, like, I edit for our comedy association, and I edit our transitions for things, but and they're wacky, and sometimes they're not, like, they don't match sometimes, but that's because it's a comedy show, and the transitions are little bits in their own right.
Yeah.
This is a show that, like, the editing shouldn't have a reason to be so wacky and weird.
Yeah, your transitions never feel out of place. They feel apropos of the content that we're presenting.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
But a Batman shoe transition is really weird in Sex and the City. They have different transitions between, like, different scenes. Like, they don't just fade to scenes. They do wipes sometimes. They'll do, like, they had one where it was, like, basically one scene pushing off another scene and coming on, you know? Mm-hmm. And it was just, like, little things like that, like, people don't notice a lot, I think, but, like, as somebody who's, you know, taking classes in editing and learning how to be an editor, it's like, I feel like, obviously they're weird when they happen because people notice them, but it's like, it's even more, it's like there's a weird lack of consistency in the edits between these scenes, you know?
Yes.
And yeah, that's definitely something we're going to bring up in our episode.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Hayden.
Yeah, teasing the episode. We're
We're
gonna start writing that. That is 4 weeks away.
Oh, damn. Yeah, we gotta get on that.
Yeah, that is 4 weeks away.
I have an outline.
It'll be like after I'm fully vaccinated.
Whoa.
That's wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we got good plans for that. You guys should keep a lookout on that.
So I wrote down twice in this episode at different points that Miranda is the fucking greatest. And I also wrote that the therapy scenes are probably my favorite scenes in the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
With Miranda. I thought they were so funny. You brought up the line that she says it there. She's talking about how she feels like she's picked last for dodgeball, or the sandbox thing I brought up in the summary. And she's like, it's just like, why don't any of them want to have threesomes with me? And the therapist goes, so you're attracted to your girlfriends? And that's what she says the line. She's like, no, but if your friends won't go down on you, who will?
I just realized our mic has been in shotgun mode this whole time, and now it's in omnidirectional. So if there's a shift in audio, I'm sorry. I think it should sound better now.
Okay, that's good.
I hope so. I apologize.
mean, our levels were looking decently
consistent. But we don't need to talk about that on the podcast.
You're right. I didn't.
All I'm saying is
we have to go back, Hayden. Whoa! Look at that shoe!
Oh! Whoa! Hello, welcome to Sex and the Virgins in the Village. This is episode 1. Oh my God, it's us.
It's us.
It's us. We gotta kill our younger selves.
Why?
Bang, bang.
Oh my... Hayden! Wait, Hayden. In this reality, you haven't dispersed Ethan yet. Can you get him in here?
Okay.
I just want to talk to him.
I'm Ethan. Now we're traveling back in time to the regular episode.
You know, Ethan, I was attracted to you, I thought, but now that I've met you, I think I'm out. I think hearing you, I think I'm out.
Oh, this is a weird episode. Lots of bits this week.
Woo!
That was the time travel. We're back in the present now. I just really quick had to push George Washington out of my chair, so he was here too. So...
It's me, George Washington.
Get out of here, George.
I'll only leave if you support the revolution.
I support the revolution.
Peace.
This is one of those things where it's like, Alex and I are doing bits because I'm trying to read over my notes to figure out what I want to talk about. And I figured out what it is because I'm the master of segues.
Let's say it on 3 or segue.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. The
Mr.
Kid and Samantha
Big is
Ruth
Dracula.
phone call was bad acting in a good way.
I agree with that.
Because it was bad acting on Kin, Samantha, and Ruth's part. Because she kept going like, no, 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 no! No, 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 no! And Kin was like, I hate my wife! I hate my wife! And she's like, no, 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 no! You can't say that! No, 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 no! And it was just like, it felt like a scene out of like a really good, bad movie.
I kind of enjoyed that scene, but I can totally agree with you.
Yeah.
That is very true. Very true.
What were you saying?
I said Mr. Big looks like Dracula.
Oh.
When Mr. Big walked in and he had his collar up, I was like, Gary, run!
It's Dracula on this spooky episode of Virgins in the Village.
No!
No, no, no. We're getting really quiet. We're getting really quiet because my mom is banging on the door and telling me to be quiet. I'm sorry, Mom. We'll be quiet. All right, back to the regularly scheduled programming.
So, I've talked about how people look like Muppets on this show like 100 times.
Mm-hmm. We haven't had 100 episodes, Alex.
Okay.
Who have you been talking about this to?
I have 14 other Sex and the City themed podcasts. You think I can just pull a bit like Mr. Big as Dracula out of my ass? No, I gotta rehearse.
Oh my God. I'm so sad.
I can't see you anymore.
I'm hiding behind the clothes that we use to absorb most of our sound. Carrie read a children's book this episode.
Yeah, Carrie read a children's book about a little girl named Kathy who smokes cigarettes to take her to New Jersey and Arabia.
Which
Carrie's
is
words.
Pretty cool. Oh my gosh. I'm such an idiot. I have to go back and redact something.
Okay.
Earlier in this episode, I talked about how I didn't like how this episode opened because there is inherently no magic in Manhattan. But with little Kathy existing, I can't say that because there are magic cigarettes in Manhattan. And so I'm so sorry to our listeners. It really pains me to say this, that I was so terribly wrong about something that was so obvious in an episode. And I hope this doesn't hurt my credibility going forward.
Hayden, I think that what you just did was very brave.
Thank you.
I mean, quite frankly, I'm floored.
Uh-huh.
I'm just, like, proud of you.
Thank you. It took a lot of strength to admit, because sometimes we're wrong about things. Sometimes I'm wrong about Skipper. Sometimes I like him, and he just keeps saying things that make me feel worse about myself and for liking him. And so I have to stop liking him, and you have to be able to admit when you're wrong.
Yeah.
That's what George Washington taught me.
Hayden,
Yeah, George
come
Washington.
back to bed.
I'll come back to bed as soon as I finish this podcast, George.
Mm.
You want to stall for like 45 to 40 hours?
I can totally do that. So, I've talked a lot about how people look like Muppets.
Yeah,
and
we were talking about that.
Mr. Big, when Mr. Big had a blue collar up, and I was like Dracula first, and then there's a part where Mr. Big like bugs out his eyes and they get really big, and Mr. Big looks like that Muppet. I'm pretty sure they're Muppet, but they might be Sesame Street Muppet, but I think they're mainline Muppets. That's like the bird that's like, I think it's a bald eagle Muppet. It's like, it's a bald on top, they have white hair on the sides and like a huge like beak nose.
I am making confused eyes at Alex. I think you're thinking of an Animal Crossing character.
What?
I don't know. The only thing in my head is the eagle from Animal Crossing.
Eagle!
No. Yeah.
Eagle! No! Oh, okay.
Mr. Big and Carrie, speaking of them, and the Eagle Muppet Man himself, Mr.
Indeed.
Big, he had that final bit of the episode where him and Carrie are talking, because they basically just had dinner, and they're like coming back, and he's like, what's the deal? Like, why are you so out of it? Because, you know, the whole episode building up to this point. And they have the conversation, and they had, like, really good back and forth. Like, it was the first time I was like, okay, regardless of the flaws in their relationship, that was, like, I understood for the first time why Carrie likes Mr. Big and why Mr. Big likes Carrie. Because they had a little back and forth that's like, it was like, why did you leave her? I cheated on her. I know, she told me at lunch. I know, she told me she told you at lunch.
Yeah, it reminded me of a line by Childish Gambino.
Okay.
At the end of the album Camp, there is a song called That Power. Mm-hmm. And at the end of that song, he does a monologue where he talks about how he fell in love with this girl at summer camp.
Uh-huh.
And while they're on the bus going home, she is sitting next to him on the bus, and Gambino starts confessing his love to her.
Uh-huh.
And he keeps talking and talking, and he talks about how he's keep talking to fill the void. He doesn't want to get to that point where she hasn't said yes or no yet. And he says specifically, he's like, he ended up using the word destiny. And then she's like, I don't know what you mean by it, but it sounds vaguely positive. So Gambino pretends to fall. Gambino pretends to fall asleep in the story.
Uh-huh.
And when he wakes up, they're at the pickup point. The bus has stopped. She's already gone, right? And then he sees this one girl who he used to know, who, it's not the girl he fell in love with, it's a different girl, who got suspended for throwing rocks at his head and like bullied him and stuff. And he like sees, like, as he's waking up, that she's like laughing at him, and he can't really tell what she's saying, but then he reads her lips and he sees that she uses the word destiny. And Gambino's like, I didn't even know, you know, that she was friends with them, you know, with these people that bullied me. And so then he talks about how he learned, this is so long, but it's something that kind of means something to me.
Yeah, I'm wondering where this is going.
He talks about how, he says specifically, he goes, I learned something. And I'm not saying that it's true. I'm not saying that like it applies to everyone, but it's something that I learned. And he's like, don't, he's not going to keep secrets. He's not going to, he basically says that when he told you the destiny thing, you is the girl he fell in love with, he's like, I told that to you. That was just for you. That wasn't for anybody else. But you turned around and told all them. Right? So the lessons that he learned is he's like, I'm not going to say things that are just for you anymore. I want to say things for everybody. All right? Because everybody can't turn around and tell everybody else. They already know. I told them. So that line reminded me of Mr. Big. Be like, yeah, she told me. Yeah, I know. She told me.
She told me, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually really like that. Cause like, that philosophy is actually kind of...
It's beautiful.
I need to listen to that song because that's something that, like...
Good.
Hits close to home for me.
Yeah.
Not getting too much into personal lives here on this podcast because we're talking about Sex in the City. But before we move on to my last two little things that I want to talk about, it's just like I'm a person. I'm a very open book type person. Like I feel like if you know me in real life, you know that I kind of will answer any question asked to me. Sometimes I'll be like, "Are you sure you want to know the truth?" But I'm very much open book, and I think that's why it's like it's like telling people one thing. Eventually, at some point, it's going to divert to a bunch of other people. So why not just have everything on your surface, right?
You would love the song. He says, make everything for everybody all the time.
And what's the name of the song?
It's called That Power.
All right. Well, if everybody wants to listen to it and then tweet at us with their thoughts on the song, do that!
Oh my gosh. If y'all want to talk about fucking hip-hop music, fucking tweet at me.
Or send us an email.
Yeah.
Also, the episode ends with the Mr. Big and Carrie kiss, and the camera pans out to see Mr. Big's ex-wife standing behind her.
Just
and I really wanted it to kind of like the episode to end, and they're kissing, and the music starts coming in, and then it like abruptly cuts as Carrie kind of opens her eyes and sees her, and it's like, holy shit, why are you here? And it's like her in the flesh and blood, and she's like, oh, I wanted to talk about the book, and then she's watching them kiss.
Yeah, I made the comparison that it's like when the ghost of Robin is watching in The Boys. What is the ghost of Robin is like staring at Huey as Huey and Annie get closer.
It's fun.
There's also a line in there in this episode about no matter who you've had sex with, it's never personal because someone's always been there first.
Which won't be the case for us because we're virgins.
Ayo!
Yeah. I actually wanted to talk about one more thing. It gets very off topic because we're kind of at the end of our episode discussion part, but there's something that ties into the episode. I want to know your opinion on masquerades. I want to talk about that for like a minute.
Ooh.
Because there is a masquerade in this episode, which is where the threesome happens, the quote-unquote threesome, because Charlotte leaves at the very beginning.
The threesome that never was.
Yes. And we talked a little bit about it during the episode, but I wanted to save it more of a discussion for the actual podcast.
Yeah. My thoughts on masquerades, I've never been to one.
I've never either.
But it seems like the coolest place ever.
Yes.
Like, I would feel like as always, I'm going to throw it to Batman. In Dark Knight Rises and in Batman Returns, and I'm sure in a bunch of other Batman things, he always goes to a masquerade, and in both Rises and Returns, he's at a masquerade, and it's him and Catwoman, and they're the only people in the room not wearing masks. So I would feel like I was in Batman at a masquerade, and I just think the vibe is so fucking cool. It's just like, it's like high class atmosphere, but like with a degree of mystery and mysticism. It's so
and even
sick.
if like you know the people, it's like the masks are cool. Like I want to. We were talking about like because I wouldn't want to wear one of those ones that's like a mask on a stick. I'd want to wear one that actually sits on my head. But I'd really want this like fancy kind of. I think I could have so much fun with making a mask for that because I love masks. I have in my room. I have two masks. There's one my mom and dad got me from. When they went to Italy, that is handmade, and it is probably my prized possession. Yeah, it's that one. And I have another one that a friend got me that's like more of a Chinese inspired mask, and I love masks, so I'd love to have fun with making that. I know masquerades from like there's the Phantom of the Opera song that's one of my favorite, which is the Masquerade song.
Yes,
it's just really wonderful, and I really want to go to a masquerade. I think once this whole thing is over, which it really close. COVID is really close to being over.
Finger crossed.
Finger crossed. I want to find a masquerade, and you and me are going to go to a masquerade.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah. But yeah, that just about wraps us up for the episode segment. I checked our email just while we were talking. We have no new emails, but if you would like to send us questions or just chats or funs here at the podcast, you can email us at virginsvillage or virginsandthevillage@gmail.com. Again, that's virginsandthevillage@gmail.com. If you send us an email, literally, it can be about anything. We'll vet it and we'll read it on the podcast if it's something that brings us fun. Probably right now, if you send us an email, there's like a 99% chance, unless you say like some terrible stuff in your email, 99% chance we're gonna read it.
Yeah.
And we would love to interact with people more. So please do that.
Please.
But because we don't have an email, that brings us into our Virgin segment, which we need to figure out a good little intro into this, because we always just kind of intro it into, it's the Virgin segment now. Mm-hmm. So you and me got to get on that.
Okay.
But maybe make a theme song. We'll make a Virgin segment theme song. But I'm going to go first because Alex has something he's been building up for me all week. I wanted to talk about a new TV show that came out. A new animated TV show that came out called Invincible.
Yay! We don't tell each other what our segments are before we go in?
Yeah.
Oh, yay.
So this is going to contain spoilers for the first 3 episodes of Invincible, because it is impossible for us to have a good conversation about Invincible without spoiling things. So if you don't want to listen to spoilers, I don't know how to avoid it.
Yeah, soft pitch though. All right, for those of you who are afraid of spoilers, Stephen Yeun and J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
Not to mention, the cast is so crazy that characters that are in the show for less than 2 minutes are played by people like Mark Hamill and Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
The cast is that crazy. Gillian Jacobs from Community, Zachary Quinto from Heroes and Star Trek.
It's based off a Robert Kirkman comic.
Oh,
so if you know Walking Dead people, they're in the main cast. It is such a wonderful show, and it's best to go in blind. So if you're do that right now if you haven't.
Yeah,
and we're about to talk about the end of the first episode.
Yes, quick little intro. I've read a little bit of the comic, and if I didn't let my life fall apart, I'd probably be done with it. Uh-huh. But what I've read is so good, and the show.
It's
holy.
So first of all, it's very well drawn. So Alex pitched this to me. I'd never heard of it before. I mean, I'd heard of Invincible before.
Yeah.
I'd seen the comic floating around. I didn't know anything more than it's a people were talking about how it's a good superhero comic that's not made by Marvel and DC, which is sometimes kind of hard to find. Yeah. And so Alex was like,
Image Comics.
Do this, and it was like he was like, watch the show, and I was like, I trust Alex's recommendations. I'm gonna sit down and watch the show, and it's 45-minute episodes, which also. Really cool to have an animated show with 45-minute episodes.
Right?
You don't see that often.
No.
But the episode was like 40 minutes in, right? And I was like, okay, so this is kind of an interesting, fun little story that is... And I think I only want to talk about spoilers for the first episode.
Okay.
That's really kind of what the segment I want to be about. So it gets about 40 minutes in, and I'm like, this is... interesting coming-of-age superhero story. I haven't really seen a lot of coming-of-age superhero stories, but I don't know why Alex was so gung-ho about this. It's kind of... It's good, and I'll probably keep watching it, but it's not really great. And the credit of, like, Invincible, the like, you know, like, name crawl comes on, and it always does this, like, little fake-out where it does, like, the first 2 names of the credits at the end of every episode, and then has an after scene. And so it hits the first 2 names of the credits, and then it just like keeps going, and it's like all of the members of the pseudo Justice League are coming together, and they're getting summoned for something, and I'm like, oh, they're establishing some like this is what it is. Is there some world-ending threat that it's going to be like really cool looking or something? That's what Alex is freaking out about. And so the whole members of the pseudo Justice League, the global defenders or whatever, they're gathered, and they're all like, hey, Discount Batman, why did you call this meeting? And he's like, I didn't call this meeting. And everyone kind of looks at each other for a second. And then Discount Flash, like, runs up to a guy and, like, pushes him as Omni-Man, who is, like, J.K. Simmons, Discount Superman, was coming in about to punch the guy's skull.
Yeah.
Right? And the Flash like pushes him out of the way, and then he lands in the center. And before then, I'm going to explain it, and then I want to go back to a couple things. And then Omni-Man lands in the center, and everyone looks at each other and like, Omni-Man? And then there's this moment of recognition that everyone realizes Omni-Man is trying to fight them. And so they start fighting, right? And they're going back and forth, and they're going back and forth. And at this point, up until this build-up moment to where right when Omni-Man came in, there was this like traditional heroic music, right? Like Marvel type score going on. And Omni-Man comes in and everyone says something, and then the music is quiet. And then Omni-Man and the whole Justice League start fighting, right? And Red Rush, who is the Discount Flash, is like, whenever Omni-Man is about to hit somebody, comes in and zooms him out of the way, and zooms him out of the way. And then, starts punching Omni-Man, and Omni-Man, like, grabs him, and, like, grabs his arm, and then pulls him in, and grabs each side of his head. And it's important to note, at this point in the show, it has been very much a PG show.
Yeah, we dove right into the end, but the basic plot of the show is that there's like the superhero family. Like, imagine if Superman settled down. There's Omni-Man, and he's presented to be Superman. He's a good guy. He's super powerful. He helps the Justice League fight. It's awesome. And the story is about his son Mark, who like he grows up and he's starting to have superpowers, and it's crazy. And Omni-Man's presented to be such a good guy, and you see the Justice League or faux Justice League like work together.
And there's like fun dad moments where it's like they're playing catch, but they're throwing the baseball entirely around the world, and it's just really sweet stuff. And there's no gore. And then Red Rush, like, he grabs Red Rush, pulls him in, grabs either side of the skull, and obviously it's just the sounds of punching now, right? Like the hits and stuff.
Yeah.
And you start to hear him start to crush the skull, and Red Rush starts punching the chest, right? Punching the chest, and you keep going in, and his eye like pops out, and so I'm at this point like freaking out. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah. What the hell is going on? Like, this was no gore up until this point, and now he's like, his head is being crushed, and Omni-Man keeps punching him Red Rush keeps punching to the point where his hands are broken.
Yeah, and it keeps cutting between the skull and him punching, and then the skull, and then when he's punching, his hands are like fucked up, then the skull, and then punching, and he's basically punching him with his broken wrists.
Yeah.
It's so...
And then the head explodes.
Oh.
And then it goes on as Omni-Man murders the entire Justice League.
Yeah, I think it's some of the best superhero animation I've ever seen.
It's one of the best animated fight scenes I've ever seen.
I agree. And something I like about it is that Omni-Man gets fucked up. Like it's like I know some of you are probably going, but Alex, in your Snyder Cut review, you said that seeing Darkseid get his ass kicked made him not threatening.
Yeah, but the thing is, Omni-Man didn't get his ass kicked by one errant axe strike. It was the entire Justice League. And it wasn't until after he killed them all that he just kind of like fell down and was like, I'm just a little tired.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it was a difficult fight, but he is clearly the fucking winner.
He's the apex. It was, oh my god. And the sound design, like that, I want to take a moment. I had the sound design of just the sound of flesh hitting flesh and like the ripping, and then like there's one point where he like grabs Batman and like hits him on the ground and then throws him on the other side, like, you know how like Hulk does it to Loki, and he hits him in the face, and then the second one his just head explodes across the pavement. And the thing is, like, obviously it's like the gore makes it cool because we're angry and we're but like I think the way that fight was designed, even if there was no gore, it would still be one of the best fight scenes of just all time. And
Invincible is famously gory, and I knew that because I'd read some of the comic. And so watching the trailers that Amazon was putting out, the trailers were all like the baseball scene.
Yeah,
they're playing it's all these like touching, like happy superhero scenes. So I think that first episode is a masterclass in like that
in subversion. It's totally, it's like we as comedians obviously know a bit about subversion, but in that serious narrative and that moment and that shift, because the thing is, like, they had just spent like 10 minutes establishing the like pseudo Justice League and like their connections to people, just to have them all murdered. And it was one of those things where it's like, I'm pretty good at seeing what's coming a lot. I was not seeing that coming. Like, that blindsided me.
Yeah, I knew going into the story that the dad was a bad guy.
Yeah.
Were you not aware of
No,
that?
I was not aware.
That makes me so happy.
It was fully blind for me.
That is so awesome.
Which made that scene just impact me so much more. And then the second episode gets in, and we're back to, like they're not pulling punches with gore anymore.
Yeah.
Like, oh, gosh.
It's like that Invincible is my happy place right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm a sucker for darker superhero stories. Mm-hmm. Especially one, I don't know if you know this, but Image Comics, which is the company that made which made Invincible, support them if you can. As far as I know, maybe there's controversy I don't know about. As far as I know, Image Comics was created so that authors and writers and artists and stuff could create comics, but not like they still own it. Like, yeah, like fucking, like, you know, especially with Marvel and DC, you make a superhero there. That's DC's superhero now. Yeah. So Image Comics, support them if you can.
Yeah. No, gosh.
For real, y'all, please check out Invincible. I can't express enough, like, how much I love it right now. I think Hayden brought to life with the energy so well. That last scene is... Gosh. Oh, my God. It's truly just... it's a masterpiece. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah.
And I'm so excited for the rest of the season. I'm so excited to see how it plays out. Also, I'm so happy that companies have started shying away from drop it all at one moment and they've gotten back to, like, weekly releases. Yeah, because I forgot how much, like, I love looking forward to an episode of something.
Yeah, I remember I was really upset because when the Boys Season 2 came out, which I really liked it for the most part, and that was a weekly thing, it was getting a ton of 1-star reviews from fucking assholes who were like, just release it all at once. It's like, no, don't give it 1 stars. That people might see that and change how the show was made, and the show was really good. You're just not patient, asshole.
Yeah. Also, from a filmmaker's perspective, it gives more time to work on each and every single episode. That's an extra week of just final touches on every single episode. Yeah. Oh gosh.
And especially during COVID.
Yeah.
I have nothing to look forward to.
Yeah. So now I got weekly episodes. It's so nice. But that's all I want to talk about with Invincible. That fight scene was just like, I watched that and I was like, well, this is on the podcast. I didn't talk to you about it at all. Like, I sent you some live texts about being like, holy shit. But I wanted to save my full breakdown of just...
Yeah, I'm glad that you saved it. I mean, we're definitely going to talk about it more after this. Like, at least I want to, because it's such a fucking amazing show. Please watch it.
So that's about it for me. But Alex, at the beginning of this week... we were talking after getting some food together, and he was like, I have a hypothetical for you, but we're saving it for the podcast. Now, Alex, why don't you tell me what that is?
All right, this is a long hypothetical.
Okay.
And I want to preface that.
All right.
I want to say this. Okay, y'all. Everything that I'm about to say is something that happens. Everything takes place in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
Okay.
This is 2 episodes of Yu-Gi GX.
Okay.
I'm going to amend some details so that it applies to our lives, because I'm trying to put you in this hypothetical.
All right. I've got my eyes closed.
Okay. But audience, this is a Yu-Gi-Oh! GX thing. All right, Hayden. Okay. So this is a hypothetical.
All right.
We're hanging out. Things are going as usual.
Okay.
Right? And we're going to comedy association meetings. Days are passing. Weeks are passing. Blah, blah, blah. And we start to notice that at these meetings, less and less people are showing up. Mm-hmm. And it starts slow. All of a sudden, like, you know, someone doesn't show up to a sketch meeting. They don't show up to more meetings. It kind of escalates to a point where there's not a lot of us in the meetings anymore. Mm-hmm. Also, these are Zoom meetings because we're responsible. Then one day, say me, you, Clayton Chowman, and Jill... Mm-hmm. We're all hanging out, and we drive down to that little place where you can see the stars, and it's like at the edge of the forest. You know?
Yeah.
So we drive down, and we're hanging out, we're looking at the stars, blah, blah, blah. And then we see, in the distance in the woods, friend of the podcast, Maxim Foster.
Okay. Has Maxim Foster been...
Max has disappeared.
Okay.
I should have mentioned.
Okay.
And we're like, Max? And we kind of try to follow him. We're like calling out, Max. He's not responding to us. He's just walking. We noticed that Max is wearing like an orange vest and a hard hat, like and with like a big like pickaxe sledgehammer thing on his back, like he's constructing something. We're like, what the fuck? So we follow him, and we follow him for like a mile deep into the forest.
Jeez.
Right?
Okay.
And we arrive at a fully built coliseum. In the middle of the forest, there is a fully built coliseum.
Okay. You're losing me a little bit, but I'm still on board.
And Max walks into the coliseum. And we follow Max into the coliseum. And inside the coliseum are a ton of, like, all the missing students. They're in the coliseum, and they're all wearing hard hats, and they're all working on building this coliseum. And so we're like, what the fuck is going on here? Right? And then we hear a roar. We turn and there's a tiger in the Coliseum. A huge-ass tiger. Okay. Standing next to the tiger is a woman. Okay. Who is a literal Amazon. She is like 6'5". Yeah. Jacked as shit. Yeah. Fucking got like a necklace that's like made of like teeth. Yeah, yeah. Like. Yeah, yeah. Not human teeth, like animal things. Yeah, yeah. Fucking. Okay. Yeah. Her name is Tanya. Okay. And she's like, what's up, guys? Welcome to my fucking Coliseum. These people work for me. And we're like, wait, you can't do this. You can't force these students to build your Coliseum. Let them go. And she's like, no. And then she makes the tiger like roar at people to make them work hard. And I'm like, I'm not going to stand for this. And I go up to her and I go, Tanya, you need to stop. And she goes, okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to duel. Okay. All right? All right. And so she pulls out her Yugioh cards. I pull out my Yugioh cards. Okay. And she goes, here's the deal. If you beat me in this duel, Alex, I'll let everybody go. If I beat you, you have to marry me now. Oh. And I'm like confident in my Yu-Gi-Oh abilities. I play Duel Links like there's nothing else in the world, and so I go, fucking let's go.
Well, are you doing Duel Links format, or are you doing...
We're doing card game format.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have an Ancient Gear deck when we're playing, right?
Okay, okay.
And I'm doing really good. Okay. But here's the thing.
All right.
She starts flirting with me mid-duel. Oh. And I'm getting flustered. All right? Okay. Because I'm flustered, I misplay, and she beats me.
Oh, my gosh.
So she's like, all right, you're married to me now.
All right. And why does she want you married? Did she explain that?
No.
Okay.
All right? So I'm like, what the fuck? And then she's like, she points to you and all of our friends and are like, get out of my Coliseum. And then she sicks the tiger at you guys, and you guys run out, and you leave the Coliseum, and the doors slam, and y'all are locked outside of the Coliseum. Okay. But you guys are good friends. You don't want to leave me alone here. So you build a little fire right outside the Coliseum doors, right? You stay the night there. Okay. While you're sitting by the fire during the night, you start hearing sex noises. You start hearing me having sex with Tanya.
Oh. Oh.
We're going to pause right here.
Okay.
Some of you are thinking this is a detail that Alex changed from the show.
No.
It is heavily implied that they have sex.
Oh my god.
Like, I'm talking, the friends are there, and you hear... You see them by the campfire, it pans up to the moon, and you hear the character that is married to the Amazon go, oh! So back into the hypothetical, intermission over. So you listen to me have sex all night.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Coliseum doors open.
Okay. I'm still on board.
And I come walking out.
All right.
My shirt is ripped open.
Of course.
Good. My hair is messy and crazy.
Imagine,
total sex hair
to Tanya.
vibes. Yeah. And I am blushing like so hard.
Yeah. Or the tiger. I don't know which one you had sex with.
And so I'm blushing so hard, right? And I walk over to you, and I'm like kind of limping, and I fall on my knees, and you're like, Alex, are you okay? What happened? And I just look at you with a mix of pleasure and pain on my face, and I say, Hayden, I just wasn't man enough for her, right? And I collapse. And you're like, this is bullshit.
Okay.
Tanya hurt my friend.
Of course.
So you go in there, and you challenge her to a duel.
Okay.
And she's like, same shit.
Can we play Magic?
Perfect. You're like, and so you challenge her to a Magic game.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, guess what? Boom, I got a deck ready. Okay. So you guys fucking duel Magic.
Yeah, I pull out Zur Sphinxes, yeah.
Pull out Zur Sphinxes, okay? And you're playing, and you're winning. Yeah. She starts flirting with you. You're like clear-headed.
No,
you have a goal.
Yeah.
Magic on my mind.
Flirting on your mind. Flirting doesn't work with me.
Hell no. All right. you win.
Oh my god.
All right? So you win the match. You win the duel.
Yes.
Then she gets mad and she starts astral projecting.
Okay.
And you, in response, start astral projecting.
As is natural. I
Basic-
know how to do that.
Basically, you both have stands now.
Okay.
And you're
Do they look like us or do they look cool?
They look exactly like you.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I know. And they just start beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
Like fist fight.
Yeah.
Like y'all are just fucking bare knuckle brawling with astral forms.
Yeah.
Right? Then you punch the astral form so hard that the astral form slams back into her body, and then her true form is revealed, and she turns into a tiger.
Oh. Does the tiger turn into a woman? Or does the tiger say a tiger?
No, as a matter of fact, it's pointed out very clearly that the true form of the Amazon woman of Tanya was a tiger.
Okay.
So knowing that information, would you still want to be my friend?
Yes.
Knowing that I had sex with a woman who turned out to be a tiger?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. You didn't know she was a tiger at
That's
the time.
true, I didn't.
Yeah. And as they said in Sex and the City, somebody's always been there before. You can't know who you're sleeping with. I really thought it was going to be more than a yes or no question, Alex.
I just wanted to break it down because I feel like...
Uh-huh.
Because in the show, what
Here's
happens...
the thing, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, I'm not going to just walk back into that Coliseum for just anybody. If you get thrown out and you're like, I wasn't horny enough for her.
Your words.
Uh-huh. And I'm not going to just walk back in there just for anybody. I'm going to walk back in there for you.
Okay.
I'm going to kind of be like, so I'm going to probably come back out and be like, hey, why did you have sex with her? Like, we're going to have a conversation.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to judge you. I've
Yeah.
seen you do worse. I've seen you rub my shit on your dick.
That's true.
And
So what happens to that character in the show,
Uh-huh.
by the way, all of his friends stop hanging out with him.
they're just bad friends.
I mean, it's kind of...
No, what do you mean it's kind of? No. If your friend...
Okay,
okay.
Let me say this. It's understandable that you would feel weird hanging out with someone who you know has had sex with a woman who turned out to not be a woman, but a tiger.
It'd be funny. It'd be good stand-up material.
Okay, that's fair.
No, but what I'm saying is like, if they're judging him, if they're being like, hey, why did you have sex with the woman?
They're not.
That's understandable.
They just don't hang out
If
with
they're
him
just like,
anymore.
it's just like, oh, you just got tricked into having sex with a tiger. That happens to like 50% of the population.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that character, they all forget he exists. Like, whenever he comes into the show. And he's set up to be a main character.
Oh my
But after
gosh.
that, he just stops being in the show. And whenever he pops up, they're just like, oh my gosh, Misawa, you exist. Or verbatim lines.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to make this podcast go any longer, so I'm going to summarize this up real quick. That character is a total simp for Tanya. And there's an episode where they all dress up as as duel monsters, as Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and he dresses up as her tiger. And then they transport to a dimension where duel monsters are real, and he meets up with her, and he falls in love. And instead of going back to the regular dimension, he just stays and he lives out the rest of his life with her.
In tiger form?
No, she's back in human form for some reason.
So
And her true form isn't a tiger anymore, I guess.
maybe that changes the hypothetical. If that happens and you're
Ooh,
like,
if I'm
I want to find the tiger again. I want to marry the tiger. At
But
that
I want to
point,
marry the woman who turned out to be a tiger.
But at that point, I'd be like, dude, she's a tiger. And if you kept being like, no, I gotta marry her, I think then that kind of starts to be like, I don't know if I want to hang out with this guy anymore. He keeps
Okay.
wanting to fuck a tiger.
Yeah,
But if it's just like you had sex with a woman who turned out to be a tiger, I wouldn't judge you for that.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that I walked into that hypothetical knowing that he is still trying to get with Tanya.
Uh-huh.
So that's where I came from there.
Or did you walk in that hypothetical? Like, what would you do if that situation was reversed?
If it was with you,
Yeah.
I think that I would still be your friend. I think that I would be kind of uncomfortable sometimes because every once in a while the thought would nag me that you had sex with something that turned out to be a tiger.
Yeah.
But I think that
I feel like we've told each other worse things.
Have we?
I don't know. I feel like if we were going to judge each other, it would have happened a long time ago.
That's true. Yeah, I think I'd still be your friend.
Yeah.
Like, for sure.
Podcast might have to go on a hiatus.
I think, yeah. Yeah. I think that we have similar answers. I think that, yeah, if you were still, I think I'd talk to you, be like, you can't still be going out.
You got to move on,
woman
man.
who turned out to be a tiger.
You got to download Bumble, but for humans, not for tigers. Because I saw you had Bumble for tigers on your app.
Yeah,
You're not gonna find it
I had
there.
Roarable.
Yeah. That was a good final joke for the episode.
It was a roarable joke. There it is.
Yeah, it made me give a roar. That was a beautiful burp.
Thanks, bud.
But I think that just about does it for this episode of Sex and the City.
I think it does.
I called it Sex and the City. That's right. I'm not going back. I'm not backing down. Oh, what's that? What's
Who were
that
you
face for?
this episode?
Oh my giggity gosh, we almost forgot. Alex, who were you this episode?
This episode, I'm going to say it. I'm Miranda.
You're Miranda.
I'm just feeling that way.
All right.
Oh, because I got the new therapist.
You got the new therapist. That's the way to do it. I think this episode, I am little Kathy with her magic cigarettes.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Because that's just how I feel like right now. That's who we were. Tell us who you were on Twitter at Virgins Village or email us at virginsinthevillage@gmail.com. Let us know. Have conversations with us. We'll have conversations with you. You dig? I didn't like the you dig. I'm sorry for that.
I kind of loved it.
So until next week, Alex, say it with me. Keep having
You
sex.
keep having sex.
Keep having city. Night, everybody.
Night.